topics for today.
User joined your channel.
There. You can find
User
that
joined your
community
channel.
channel and Discord as well.
User joined your channel.
Is Pablo here?
Hello.
Hello, Pablo. I think you should probably explain your topic since you posted
User
it.
joined your
Be
channel.
appropriate.
Oh, are we starting?
Yeah, we can start whenever you're ready.
Oh, I can. Let me finish chewing this.
All right, yeah.
All right. Okay.
User joined your
Well,
channel.
that the little post I had was a kind of a suggestion. Kind of would be, I guess, would be fun from an official Doug content standpoint. With different levels of like complexity and how hard it would be to do on a consistent basis. But the general gist of it is basically like little Doug shorts. Where we have like we choose, let's say if we're just like doing a little spotlight on a group, we'll do a little like pick a group like at the community meeting, for example, vote on a group to make a little spotlight of. We make a little 30 to 1 minute long video, kind of like
User left
making
your
intrigue
channel.
with very kind of rudimentary drawings and stuff like that that can be posted wherever, just to kind of promote it, I guess. uh Something that's can be sourced from people that are willing, like the voiceover can be for somebody in the group. I think Echo mentions that in the next one.
User
uh
left your channel.
but yeah, I was thinking that at the community meetings, maybe like there could be like a thing or a story or a group that can be picked to be made a little like
User
intrigue
joined your channel.
promotional short that might be propagated by the Dugites.
That'd be pretty cool. Is there who's on the media team right now? Is the media team like very active, Corey, or is that kind of not?
I think it's primarily desync.
Yeah, it is.
Interesting. Maybe that could be kind of the route that goes, like
Expanding, that's a good idea. Right?
expanding the media team a bit, adding the people that want to help out that, and then they can figure it out. That's just a thing I thought of. But anybody else has anything to say? Audie, go ahead.
I was thinking that that's definitely a really good idea. But if we could get more of like I guess a line or a queue, you know, to go ahead with that. I mean, with groups and factions, I think it would be great actually. Maybe some of the groups or factions that don't have
User joined your channel.
experience with that kind of thing, maybe we could get help.
Yeah. With how I was planning it, because I wanted to like kind of leave it flexible, because I know one of the issues can be consistency. Like usually with if a project's too large, it'll come out the first time and then nobody wants to do the next one because it's just too much.
Right. Well, would you be actually willing
yeah.
to go down like the line of just factions and groups and maybe help like everybody and kind of, give people jobs, even if,
Yeah. Like how I was kind of thinking is like as an example, like on there's a couple YouTube links that are just like quickly vomited out, but would be examples how it would be formatted. Where I can do like a quick 30 to 1 minute long one. Like I can do that work for people if it needs to be to do like put something in the
User
ground.
joined your channel.
And then from that then on, like as we're like either like however's decided, like you mentioned about lining people up to, or like the factions of like, oh, who's next after we do this.
yeah,
We'll consult with them and be like, okay, what kind of things do you want? Do you want one of your guys to narrate it? Do you want somebody else to narrate it? I mean, I'm willing to like do little drawings for little videos like that. See whoever else wants to. Like, I've seen the Torchwood, the other person that's doing the like Torchwood art, like asking her if she wants to do stuff, for example, or if anybody just
Steffi.
wants to volunteer.
Right.
Stephanie, was it?
Yeah, Steffi Wolf.
Yeah. And stuff like that, and then it can start scaling up as needs be, or be as simple. Because I wanted to keep it like manageable and easily producible to a quality, but not to a where it becomes a second job for somebody. You know, where it can just be like,
Right.
here's a
I would be down for that. It's just I don't have anyone in my group that would be able to help with doing something like that. But if you were like if you personally were able to pop down between every single group and faction, like I don't see the problem with actually, producing that. Or, if somebody wants to do their own, that would be awesome. I think it's
uh,
great.
I also guess on that point too, like, I guess I'll take this opportunity to be like, okay, if I can do like a couple little ones, since they're small enough. The like who among everybody here, who would be the first target everybody would like to see
I
to
mean, I
make?
think
Oh, go ahead.
I'd
Sorry.
quite like to. I mean, I feel like something like that could be really cool, especially for such a long-lived faction like, well, Damn, obviously.
Yeah, I was gonna say
They've been
Darkest
around for a
Midnight or
while,
the
and
clowns, definitely.
there's a lot that you could get into, like like
Working
a
on the
brief kind of
clowns.
history of the faction, like the current state of it, and blah 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 blah, like what they do, even.
I
Yeah,
was thinking maybe it could be somebody like Pirates of Pusta or Commonwealth who've had a lot of recent history, maybe but maybe not a lot of content, and this could be kind of a
Dummy
yeah.
roll.
start of content for them and kind of introduce people to them because everybody kind of knows enough about the long-standing groups. Go
It's a
ahead.
good idea, yeah.
Before Buck, just to like put here, so I guess like at the end of before like we move on to the next one, when people from their like I'll do two videos. Let's do like one for a bigger group. Let's do, for example, if we do Damn, and then one for like a more like a recent group like POP. And
1-on-1.
yeah, and just like DM me, I guess, about it, so I can like put it on the list so we can get like a finalized thing. Okay, Buck, sorry, you can go.
I'm gonna put that in the notes to DM you if that's okay.
Correct. That's good.
All right. Joe.
I know this isn't really on the agenda, but this entire thing reminds me a lot of how the wiki and media team used to function, and I think those are two very underutilized tools right now. I remember when we used to do faction profiles for the website. I remember when we used to regularly update the wiki with new content. That was, I hope, at least appreciated by a lot of people. And I'd like to see it come back, and I'd be like willing to contribute as well.
Can I interject?
Yes.
So the main problem, and this for the wiki team and the media team, and this is more apparent with the wiki team, is in order for it to function properly, you need to have someone with access to the Reddit. So they have to have moderator privileges on the Reddit. And that has in the past always been Yari. But as he has less and less time to dedicate to Doug for whatever reason, we don't have someone in that position
User
to
joined your channel.
fill his role essentially.
Well,
There are
yeah, the
people on the
workflow is
wiki team
bottlenecked, right?
coming in.
The workflow is basically bottlenecked because there's no active person in charge of that project right now.
Yeah,
There's
so
people who'd be willing
there's
to
people on
contribute,
the
but there's
wiki
no one
User
in
joined your
charge.
channel.
There's people on the wiki team, but like you said, it is kind of just stopped because
It's the same with the website. The person who used to do all the
yeah.
website content was Merlin, and Merlin is obviously not around that much at the moment.
everything for the wiki team, everything would have to pass eventually through Yari, and for the media team, everything eventually would have to pass through desync.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I don't know.
User joined your
I've
channel.
made my feelings clear with Yari before. If he's too busy to do anything, I think he should hand it off to Wolverine or something. But I mean, yeah, if there's interest in people doing website content, then I'd love to get back into that.
Steve, you had something to say?
Microphone activated. User joined your channel.
Specifically on that, I guess like a way of a format, how I was at least like on the smaller view, like it would be, it would almost be out of character how it's presented. I guess like it's kind of like almost like it's kind of like when you read the descriptions, like but let's say before you join the server, you go to the website, you read the faction description, in that kind of sense, where you kind of get like this kind of idea of it. At least for the shorts, for something more like an interviewee in-game thing would be something that would be one of the like a larger thing that might be like choiced on later, although that would be obviously a much larger thing. But I feel like something like in-game interviews or something is currently being conducted with like the new news source and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I think it's outside of the scope at the moment for what, at least what the shorts I was thinking of.
Yeah, I think like interviews and stuff should be left to the radio outlets and all that, like people in game, because when it comes from that media, it's really good.
Walter, you wanted to talk?
Yeah. So, one, I agree with Buck that I think the shorts would be better suited to groups who don't have a lot of presence in media. Like Damn have a lot of content posted by themselves, by other people about them. The Carnival has a lot of content posted about it. But I think that smaller groups, newer groups like Pirates of Pusta and Commonwealth are ones that people don't know as much about, and those would be a better target for the shorts, at least initially. My other comment is that if we had to pick between what Pablo is suggesting and
User joined your channel.
as far as focus goes, the wiki or something, I think Pablo's shorts would be a better outlet simply because of how people consume media. The short little videos are more entertaining. At least most people find them more entertaining, and they're more likely to sit there and just binge watch them. Whereas a wiki is, just reading text off a page, which can be interesting. But I think that if we have to choose a focus, we should go Pablo's route. That's it.
I mean, you could even see like try and do them in like unison with each other, like have the wiki complement these little videos and like, or have these little videos kind of draw from the wiki. And if like say something piques your interest, you can go onto the wiki and read more about whatever topic it is the video was pertaining to.
It's actually my concern though, is like, that's actually exactly my concern, is that like Pablo would be held up waiting for the wiki team who is not doing anything right now. I think that, and that's basically what I meant by focus. And I at least have a grasp of that, because when I make videos, a lot of times you're like, I have this and this and this, but I'm waiting on this person because I have to get them on here to do this. And so it's holding up the whole thing. And so that's kind of what I'm talking about. It's like, if we could have the wiki team be resurrected and they could work in unison, great. But I wouldn't want to see Pablo's stuff
I wouldn't want to see
up.
Pablo held up to wait for the wiki. I think if he wants to make his own content, then he should make it, and he doesn't need to wait for anyone else.
Yeah, that's it.
Ammo, go ahead.
Yeah, sorry, I joined late, but what problem are we trying to solve? Sorry, I joined late, so I'm just asking what problem we're trying to solve. So,
Oh, that's all good. So there is a link here with all the topics. We're on the first topic, which is Pablo basically offering to make some short content videos about groups and kind of it be Doug official content. And he's kind of looking for direction, I guess, on
okay.
the what the community would like that content to kind of look like and who to focus on.
Isn't that about the groups that want to put themselves forward? I mean, if you as a group want to promote yourself, shouldn't you talk to Pablo and just go like, "Hey, we want to do something with you"? Because that's how this kind of works. And I'm talking in a generic term. I know the wiki team hasn't been active recently with Yari leaving, and I've been part of the staff team for years and kind of stepped down. So it's an ongoing thing, but if you want to do something and you want to promote content, yeah, go ahead and do it. And please contact the people that can put it out there. But also, if you as a group want your content to be
User
put out
joined your
there,
channel.
step forward and contact the people that can do it for you. That's all I want to say.
All right. Does anybody else have any thoughts on the topic or anything?
I kind of did. I did push Q, but I
Oh,
wasn't
okay. Sorry, I
sure
didn't
if-
see that. My bad.
Okay, so Ammo is right. Don't get me wrong, I love the whole wiki thing, but what if we just not use that? What if we use Pablo's idea and actually just go forward with it with, a bunch of leaders of different groups, especially with some of the ones that, haven't been around that long, like, well, Commonwealth or Pirates or, just just some people. And like I think it would be a good idea, throw some shit up on the Reddit, and then, you know, we
Yeah.
I mean, we don't need the wiki to move forward, is what I'm saying.
User disconnected from your channel.
I don't think you guys need to worry about the wiki at all for this thing Pablo wants to do. Like, forget about it. That was just something individual I was bringing up. Like, it would be cool if the wiki got updated more. I probably shouldn't have brought it
User
up at the
joined your
same
channel.
time because it's caused some confusion. But
Oh,
that's just a
okay.
me thing. Like,
I mean, yeah, the wiki's great and everything, but like
but
I would,
Pablo should be able to do what he wants to do. I
yeah,
support
and
that.
like I think it would be great for him to just like move forward, get
Oh,
a hold of
absolutely.
some people and, just help everyone with whatever it is that,
Mm-hmm.
that
Agree.
they
And
can
he
make.
shouldn't
Yeah.
he shouldn't be held back by anything else.
Yeah.
I'm fully with you on that.
That's what I said. You don't need the wiki. Well, the wiki has been stagnant.
Yeah,
and
the
we
wiki's
can all
on ice
agree
for
on that.
now, guys. Like,
But what
until
you need
someone wants
to-
to take the lead on that. So
What you need to do is figure out how to progress as a community and how to promote each other, I guess. And yeah. And any initiative by individuals or groups is awesome because it helps Doug along as a group or as a community.
I think Pablo has something to
Buddy joined your
say.
channel.
Let's have Alex talk first, and then Pablo can kind of close out with his thoughts. Just for the sake of time, we're gonna need to move on.
All right.
So Alex, go.
What I was thinking
User left your
is if
channel.
Pablo is going to make like personalized stories for each group or whatever, if you want to request that. My thing is I don't want Pablo to, be drowning in work or, as someone who like does videos for like
User joined your
school,
channel.
sometimes when I'm like forced to do things, it's like this sucks. You know
Well,
what I mean?
I was thinking that he should just do it on his own time. Once he's done with one, he just moves on to the next and he DMs that, leader, you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
like on his own time after he's done with a different one.
Specifically on that point, with one of the ways the I guess the way I was formatting how to propose it would be accounting for that in terms of like for these first couple, obviously like I would put my foot forward here to do that so we can have like a clear here is a little thing on a pedestal example. But for the like for example, I'll do like after I get the information, I'll do those 2 quick little videos, little shorts, should be relatively quick to do each one. And then whenever either between or whenever the next meeting or whenever it is, we see like okay, do we want to do this continually and see to do like a minimum of this at this amount of time, who is interested, or maybe each time one is being like, oh, the next one's going to come up, anybody want to volunteer to do this. In terms like I want to keep it flexible in terms of not making it some obligation people have to do, instead being like kind of a as much community sourcing as possible, because I know that
User
can be a
joined your
big problem,
channel.
and when people are doing stuff for free, that
Yeah,
that can take time.
Yeah, I think maybe
User
if you
disconnected
could,
from your channel.
like maybe get a team on it, and then as someone who I have a little bit of experience of editing, but I like to stage things, so I would offer my help in any way, shape, or form.
And to I guess I should like make more clear like at least the shorts here, like the smallest version of it would be probably wouldn't include too much like in-game footage. I mean, if somebody wants to, like they can DM me and send it, but obviously we'll talk about whoever. But so right before we end this clear, like so who for the 2 test videos, who would we want as a community again?
Well, I was thinking just to move this along, I was thinking maybe you could throw something up in the Discord and get people to DM you.
Okay.
Yeah, I think
You
a
know,
post in members general of
even
like
then,
just group
you could
leaders
get
to
you
contact
know,
you, and
yeah.
I think I'm sure you'll choose good there. Like,
If I may interject, I know Captain of
Well,
the Pirates has been he'd be down for that.
and I know I heard somebody who is more likely to when they edit things, they like to stage stuff. So I mean, if you just throw something up in the Discord, you can even get like, bodies, like just people willing to stand around, and you can place them where you want. Just, you know, yeah, bodies, just throw them wherever you want, just a random body. But no, like, just throw it up in the Discord, and I'm sure, people can DM you, and you guys can work together and figure it out. Like, yeah.
All right. I'll also try what Xavier said on Reddit. Well, thank you for discussion. I think we should move on.
Yeah,
Alright.
you're right. But I
Next
think it was great.
Echo, is Echo here? Actually, no. His point was relating to the previous topic. I think somewhat covered.
User joined your
Is
channel.
Tom here? Yes, he is. Okay. Would you like to introduce your next topic?
My topic, I said, let's have a discussion of how groups can get creative with their role play in different ways to play the good or the bad guy. I mean, obviously, I think it's brought up a lot, but like obviously you're kind of limited to what you can do with in-game mechanics. But if you start getting creative, I think more people will play along with it, which can hopefully lead to better interaction and very interesting stories. I can't remember why I put that in there, but there was something behind it, I think.
User disconnected from your channel.
And I hate to be like a little off, but Sam, are you Torchwood?
No, I've asked before to get that removed.
Sorry, I saw that POP in your name and that Torchwood logo. I was kind of tripping.
Is
Yeah,
there
no, I'm not tortured anymore.
is there anybody with any thoughts
User
regarding
joined
the
your channel.
topic? We can maybe circle back around to it at the end if anybody thinks of anything.
I think if I remember correctly, Tom posted that after we were having the discussion in Discord about the lack of good guy groups and how there were different types of good guys and yada yada. And I think since then we've had a couple new groups form that are quote unquote good guy groups. So
I think you're right, actually.
That makes
The-
sense, yeah.
Yeah.
Alright, the next topic is from Quartz TZ. Are they here?
User in your channel timed out.
Alright, I'll
Nope.
read it for them. Respect of other people's in-game roleplay, both during interactions, including a radio and via notes. I think this is almost a staff thing, because I think anything that's like blatantly trolling or disrespectful, kind of, especially on notes, gets snapped up pretty quick, because staff can just read all notes, right?
Yes.
Yeah, so I guess take it if you feel something's wrong. Oh,
Yeah, no,
actually, there's a
just speak
second
then
part.
ticket. Well, he
the-
just said that. He just pretty much said he met people. If that's what you're talking about, second part. Just
Yeah,
for his
they-
little tick.
They met people from factions that were using OOC language and gaming language. I'd like to know what gaming language means. Yeah, it's probably about the cum notes. Go ahead, Audie.
Oh, I didn't realize it was only about cum notes. I thought it also had to do with radios. I was just saying.
It did as well, yeah. There's
Okay, well, I
Nice one.
didn't realize. See, I haven't been around in a while, so
User
I didn't
joined your
realize
channel.
that there was a problem with cum radios. I don't know if that's a thing, but okay, I'm all right. I may have said that wrong. Anyway, I was just thinking. I was just thinking that maybe if more people use the rate. All right, you know what? I'll just shut up because Jesus Christ.
I think this can be
Um,
solved by people just kind of getting a hold on their group members a little bit.
Yeah, well, I mean, I didn't realize that was the thing. I thought it was the lack of radios or the lack of actual notes being handed around. But when it came to radios, I was just thinking maybe people could, I don't know, just be on radios more. But I guess, wishful thinking. Anyways, I'm done. I'll stop talking.
Go ahead, Tom.
So the way I sort of took this, I think it kind of ties into Kane's next suggestion. Just sort of taking a step back and realizing, okay, this is the other person's role play. Let me not just I shouldn't just completely ruin their fun by sitting there talking about I don't know, gamer words, as you said, or gaming language, which I mean, I wouldn't say it's just gaming language, but words that kind of don't make much sense to be using in the
User left your
climate
channel.
of the discussion, I guess.
Bastion.
A little bit of
User
input.
left your channel.
I don't know what specifically is sitting on there, but this rush, by the way. I think stuff like soundboards, stuff like things that just would not make any sense for what's occurring in game just kind of takes away from other words. That's my experience. I don't know if that's what he's trying to hit on, but that kind of ruins it for me. But I know people like to do that sort of thing.
Well, I've only been bad for a short time. In the time that my group has been bad, about half of our interactions do have some RP. The other half don't have any at all, and when we attempt to do it, I know it's met with confusion and disregard, usually. I guess all of these points that have been brought up seem like they come from a different source. It comes down to it's not an RP server, so are they really breaking any rules by leaving cum notes and cum radios or whatever has been happening? If some people want to RP and they are being kind of shown disrespect by people who don't want to do that, is anything wrong according to the rules happening? And if this is a problem that has popped up a few times, maybe we should work on sort of the source of the issue rather than the symptoms.
Let's see. Audie? Actually, real quick, Bastion, just so people have a little bit of context, what group are you a part of, like, that came back?
So we're not active on the Discord or Reddit because, just in my experience, it never ended well. So we're the.
I remember you, Bastion.
Hello. Yeah, we're the Commune of Free Citizens. We were a small communist group that ran for maybe about a year, but that was probably 2 years ago.
Yeah, and they're actually, I mean,
User
decent when
joined
it
your
came to
channel.
RP. Like, they're really good, cool dudes.
Yeah, we tried a lot, and then we did run sort of a small bandit group, but we were wiped out by Dam a while after that, and that without any real presence. But we have been on the server a lot, and we try our best to roleplay a lot, and take the loss is a core sort of concept for us. That's why when we were killed off, we just kind of left, because we couldn't justify staying around. But I guess that comes down to it, is if you get... Again, this was a debate years ago when I was here, was respecting roleplay, but right now nobody needs to, right? It's just the nice thing to do, but...
Yeah, you have a point. Okay, so my cue was when there was somebody who said that we were talking about the people who are randoms joining the server that aren't actually part of the regular community. Hold on, let me look. His name is Ryan.
Yeah, that was
Okay, I'm just going off of that. Yes, you do have a point. But there's also like a lot of those people that, I mean, you know, we got to give them the chance to,
User left your channel.
to join the community. We got to give them a chance to put in the application and stuff. And like, I get it. Dude, trust me, I totally get it. A lot of people know me.
User disconnected
A
from
lot
your
of people know
channel.
me on the server. And, I mean, I get KOS'd a lot. I get, no RP a lot. But I'm just saying, sometimes those people, like, we also got to give them the benefit of the doubt. With all of these beeps going on, I feel like I should probably just shut up, okay? But that was
No,
that
don't
was
shut
all.
up.
That was
Yeah,
my point.
the beeps are just people talking in the text chat.
It's not related to what you're saying. We're talking about something else.
Yeah,
Just keep going.
yeah. I can just I'll just be quiet. But that was just my main point. Because weren't we all there, guys? I mean, come on. Whether it was 5 years ago, 2 years ago, or a year ago, weren't we all there, trying to put in an application, trying to be part of this community, trying to be part of the server?
if I can respond real quick to Yachty as far as the I think this topic
Yeah.
specifically is coming up
User
with
joined your
reference
channel.
to the funeral that was held recently, and there was a lot of obnoxious and meme stuff. From what I've heard, I wasn't there. I don't know the issue, and I think that's part of the reason why this topic came up in the first place.
Okay.
With reference to my randoms being part of the community and leaving,
Dude,
toxic
trust me,
notes
Yep,
and
I
things
get
like
it.
that. I think it's also up to us, because I think everybody in this community meeting, everybody here wouldn't be a part of this meeting if they didn't know any better,
Or if they didn't care.
or if they didn't care.
Yeah.
And I think it's up to us as community members, if we see something that's
User
toxic,
disconnected from your
like
channel.
for example, for some ungodly reason, cum notes is a thing, or cum radio. I have no idea what the hell that's about.
I didn't know that was a thing either.
I think it's up to us as community members to ticket situations like this, where it's like,
Yeah.
look, this is not part of what the server's supposed to be, or this is not. Sorry about that. It's not a part of what the server's supposed to be or what we deal with and how we interact. So we don't want this on our server. So those randoms or those people that are doing that and are part of the community need to be adjusted or removed or however that needs to work out, basically.
All right. Who's next? I think Freddy.
Yeah, hi. Okay, so I'm gonna sort of piggyback off of what Adi said.
User joined your channel.
And I haven't been here for the longest amount of time, but I feel like the best course of action when it comes to like whatever these cum radios or cum notes are, I haven't really experienced any of them. But like what Adi said with how there's new people coming to the groups, people that aren't really associated with the role player, the community in general. I feel like those types of people should be given the chance to correct their mistakes if they do that. If they kind of like a strike system per se, something like that. But like if it's like a known community member, community person that's been here for a while and they're making those mistakes like that, they should be punished more harshly. But other than that, I just, in my opinion, I feel like people that are newer, sort of like me, or like people that just joined, being thrown away super harshly or like banned quickly, like for stuff like that, isn't really a course of action that I would deem necessary or appropriate.
User left your
It's
channel.
just stuff like that. Like there should be leniency towards people that are newer, and it should be harsher towards people that know that they shouldn't be fucking up like that.
User left your
Stuff like that.
channel.
Just yeah.
All right. Blake, go ahead.
Since that was
User
kind of like an
joined your
admin
channel.
question, if Corey wanted to take my place just briefly to respond to that, otherwise I'll keep going.
What do you want? Sorry.
Never mind then.
No, wait, what'd you ask? I'll answer.
User joined your
Freddie
channel.
said some stuff about warnings and mentoring community members when there's behavior that's not, I guess, accepted. It sounded like
User
more of an
left your
admin thing. If you want to respond to that, like, rather than like let me sidetrack the conversation. You don't have to, of course. Just if you want to take my slot, go ahead.
So basically, what will happen is obviously there's no rules against meme RP and shit like that, or what a lot of people keep bringing up is cum notes or cum radios. I've never even
User
heard
left
of
your
cum
channel.
radio, but when situations like that happen and it's not strictly against the rules, but the staff decide to take action on it, we'll never start out with a ban. It'll always be a warning or talking to or something beforehand. It will never go straight out the gate with a ban for something that's not strictly in the rules.
All right. So I'll continue with what I was going to say, if that's all right, Corey.
Yeah, go ahead.
Cool. So I think people don't seem to have the context behind the suggestion. I'm kind of guessing at it because I don't know quartz or why this is brought up, but just some examples that come to mind that I've witnessed. There was Samaritan's funeral where a few people were pretty much, they went to a funeral and they just were memeing, dabbing, playing soundboards, that sort of stuff, basically seeing a serious RP event and then going there and just kind of shitting on it, for lack of a better term. And I've seen notes that were left like for a raid, which were pretty clearly not in character. It was mostly just shit talking, like the sort of stuff you'd see in like, a gaming server where the clans are shit talking each other, that sort of thing. And also, for example, there's a group doing a radio broadcast, for example, and then a bunch of people on the other side of the map that aren't any way related start just mic spamming, basically shutting down the broadcast, not because they're like the scribes and they believe that technology is bad and such, but because they just want to shit on someone else's roleplay. And I think that's the sort of thing that's being talked about, not the stuff that's been mentioned now. Like basically looking at someone's roleplay, be like, I don't respect this, and just kind of disrupting it for no real in-character gain. So I think that's what's actually being talked about, not like cum notes or cum radio, and cum radio is not a thing. Like, it's not a thing I've heard of on the server. The notes, sure, but there wasn't that many of them.
At one point, it was really bad. It was before the wipe, I think.
Justin, go ahead.
Yeah, I just wanted to comment on. Obviously, there's been some chat with the Samaritan's funeral as like a particular instance. Obviously, yeah, it kind of goes back for me to the general rule of don't be a dick, where we don't have to put like a specific number on something. It's just kind of like, all right, read the room kind of thing. Just respect each other's RP and stuff like that. And I just want to say in that specific instance, like Tom at the time had reached out directly to people and cleared the air, so it doesn't always have to be drop the ban hammer on someone, and we can all kind of just work together to move past those things. That being said, I have noticed like some of the more toxic things were just from, like someone said earlier, like random people, not community members, not faction leaders. Like we had a note recently where someone was like, it was just before the wipe, and they're like, wow, shit base, LOL, and then drew like a dick on the note. So I'm assuming it wasn't from a community member. So that was one of the more instances of like more severe toxicity was from a non-member.
I think I skipped Poopy. Go ahead.
You skipped me, so I forgot. Thanks.
That's tragic.
Fuck.
I'm sorry. Audie, go ahead.
I was just gonna go back to, I think it was Blaze or Blade, who was talking about the Samaritan funeral, and I get that there was a meme problem because it was part of a member that was a part of my group, and like in DMs that was actually hashed out, and as far as I'm concerned, like that was like okay, and I'm sorry that happened. I mean, when it comes to meme RP, that's definitely like one of the main things that the dugout is normal for. However, we're not responsible for cum notes. However, we're not. I don't think we're responsible for cum radios. I'm sorry. I have a hard time just thinking like I didn't know this was a thing. So I'm still a little upset about it, but because I was sitting there like wondering why the radios haven't been used in a long time, and I didn't know that was a thing. But anyway,
user joined your channel.
Also, yeah, like we're not like running around, even though the dugout is, quote meme RP, we're not running around into like different cities throwing a bunch of notes that say come on them.
Do you mind if I interject real quick?
I don't think anybody said.
Go for it. But
in my opinion, there is a difference between quote unquote meme RP and comedic relief. Comedic relief would probably be the more tolerable of the two, I'd say, and then meme RP at that point where you're leaving cum notes and I think someone said cum radios, kind of like, I mean, it's not really a meme, but like the dick notes that you've seen after raids, like that type of stuff.
Where they don't even say the word, but they draw the picture or something. But yeah, I know I've seen a bunch of those, and it's kind of irritating. Like I get it. Like I've seen those. But what I'm saying is that like, like everyone in the community kind of knows like who we are. I mean, we try to be, kind of the comedic relief. However, it does evolve into meme. But, being who we are, it's like everyone knows where we are too. Like you don't have to be there. If you know what I mean, like it's not that hard, you can like shoot us from afar or just leave, like, or like nobody has to be there. And it's just
Well, Audie, we like
I
to
don't know.
meme and have fun, but I think internally we need to be better about if there is serious RP happening, like at the dugout, that
Oh
needs to
yeah,
stop.
yeah,
You know.
yeah, definitely. And we've actually gotten really better about that. Okay, so there's a. I'll just stop talking. There's a big conversation going on in text, I think. So I'll be quiet now.
The next suggestion was from Kane the Messiah, and it relates to this one, which is the
User joined your
facilitation of
channel.
others' roleplay at the expense of your own, especially for factions. We covered it a little bit already. We can kind of move on to covering the rest of it, I'd say, and kind of get both these topics discussed. Go ahead, Pablo.
Whoops. This isn't so much to that specific point, but just kind of a general like comment on the community meetings. Should there be like an action list created, like to have like, okay, here's the thing that we're gonna try as an experiment, to at least relating to what Audie was saying before the meeting started, of like sometimes we can discuss it, but there won't be too much of an actionable thing to follow post.
I mean, if anybody would like to help do things like that, just let me know. Like, I'm very, very open to having people help me out. Like, I'm, for instance, right now writing notes. So like I can only do so much at a time. It takes a good bit of my attention to do that, but if, for instance, for next
User
meeting,
left your
anybody would like to
channel.
contact me about doing some potential more stuff like that, I'd love the help.
I just wanted to question that. That was my point.
Thank you, Pablo. Go ahead, Echo.
So I know Kane's not here, so I'm gonna talk in his place a little bit. This was a problem that we were having in Torchwood, and a lot of our recent interactions, and not even just with other factions, but with just people on the coast or people that had just started hearing about us. We ended up usually killing them a lot, and we
User
had to
joined your
have
channel.
an internal discussion about letting them get away, letting them evolve stories, letting their characters evolve instead of just killing them right then and there and seeing where it takes them. And I believe Kane wanted to bring up that like faction to faction interaction should be held kind of to a different standard with executing people or just KOSing and trying to evolve story that way. So that way there's more stories on the Reddit, you can make more videos out of it, and there's more in-game stories being spread.
Oh, go ahead, Audie.
I was touching on what Pablo said earlier. He just happened to be here when I was here earlier, but right in the beginning, my point was that when we discuss these community meetings, uh we we keep talking about certain
User
things.
disconnected
It's
from
just
your channel.
sometimes a lot of stuff don't get solved, or like it would be really helpful if we could get suggestions from people, like, even if it's so mundane, but it would be really cool if we could get like just a random person to come out of nowhere and say, "Oh, I have an idea on how we can solve this." Or, like as community members. I'm not saying like, the mods or the admins or anything. I was just saying that, instead of constantly circling back or, saying the same things over and over, or like what the problems are, I just thought that maybe we could come up with some suggestions every so often. Okay, I'm done.
Mac, go ahead.
I think this is pertaining to Kane's suggestion as presented by Echo. I feel like the key thing is valuing people's lives, because I mean not just like your own, really. It's just kind of the case of, sure, you're playing a game, but a lot of really cool shit could come from if you, say, scare the shit out of someone, like whatever else, like based on whatever your RP would be, whether that be like Torchwood, like against cannibals and bandits and stuff like that, and then letting them like walk. Because that, I mean, yeah, that could lead to like a story, like, oh, I was robbed by Dark as Midnight, and they let me like walk away, and I survived, and that could lead to a lot more coming of it, like someone seeking revenge or yada yada yada. But I think that it's obviously there's certain situations where that's not really possible, because I mean, if you've not got control of the situation or you feel unsafe, for example, then you don't want to put your life at risk by, like, I don't know, holding someone up in like Riffy or in some like big military base or at a helicopter crash site, somewhere that's dangerous. But I feel like the thing to focus on is just when you're able to and when it makes sense to. Don't kill someone for the sake of killing them when something else could come out of it. Give other people like time
User
to
in your channel
breathe,
timed out.
pretty much. I think that's me, though.
Go ahead, Tom.
From what I got from Kane and what Echo said, was not about oh, well, I'm at this place and I don't think I have the advantage to hold this guy up, so I'm going to shoot him. It's the, like, faction to faction. You guys could be arch enemies. Like, I mean, top of my head, Torchwood and Dam. You could have a long history, but the thing. Hello?
User joined your channel.
You're good, Tom.
Yeah, you're good. I can
I
hear
think
you.
someone coughed or something.
All right. Well, the whole point is that you can make an exception to not just constantly execute them. You can try and put terms to it. You can try and, like, so this is something Recluse's new group and like Corey and I think have started to deal with. It's like, well, we have our principles that we abide by, but if we just sit there
User
and
disconnected from your channel.
execute whoever disagrees with it or practices against our beliefs, like, we would be ruining the fun for a lot of people. There's more to it than just killing somebody because they disagree with you, sort of thing. It's as Bastion said, it's a respect thing. Well, he said that relating something else, but it does come down to a respect thing. If you respect the other person on the other side of the screen that you're interacting with, you can push more story in the long run, hopefully, if you get creative. It ties into a bunch of different things. But.
Mac has a response to Tom, so he can go ahead and the Blake's after him.
Yeah, I can understand like where you're coming from. Like, just because, oh yeah, Torchwood and Dam, like, I mean, it can depend on the situation, because obviously there's a fair few situations where we've ended up running up on each other and we're like, oh shit, it's Dam, or oh shit, it's Torchwood, and started shooting at each other like instantly as we would. But I'd love to see, some situations where, like, I don't know, say we catch a roaming Torchwood member that's alone, and instead of just, well, shooting him in the head, being like, haha, he's dead now, instead, like, I don't know, think of send him back with, like, a note, a message to pass on to, like, the Messiah or his higher-ups, or I don't know, something like that. Just think of another way to kind of that could lead to more for that person than just a "you are dead" screen.
Yeah,
Can I piggyback off Mac real quick?
Well, I was gonna
Yeah,
say
can I
Mac.
follow
I was gonna
that
say
too?
Mac has done that, or not Mac, but Dam has done that recently too, Torchwood, which is great. So, would love to see more interaction like that from other people. So, but exactly what he just said happens, or what could happen, is what they did do, and it creates a really cool story, especially for individuals, but also the group. So, definitely props. So, if we could see more like that, that would be awesome.
Yeah, like I think the key thing is just because you're like enemies with someone. You could be like the most hated mortal enemies with whoever you meet. But it doesn't mean that like every time you see them, it has to end in them like either them dying or you dying. Like there's no real shame in letting someone walk away or limp away from like having the shit beaten out of them and their spirit and resolve broken, but letting them limp back to their leaders or higher ups or their home with maybe something to think about. It could lead to character progression, growth, and all that, or regression and that sort of thing, as opposed to just getting shot again.
And I think a large issue in that comes from out of character communications. Like, if I hold up a GAM member and I'm solo or duo, it's like I know that there's most likely gonna be 7-8 more people showing up. So a hold up, or like I'm just using GAM as an example.
Yeah.
But like a hold up, or even like as a Torchwood member, if you're like you're 1, 2, or 3, and you hold up a GAM member or 2, there's gonna be more coming. So it's a little bit, and obviously just shooting them and taking the stuff is a little bit safer because it comes down to that too.
I feel like that comes mainly from like a kind of a stigma and like how some people conduct themselves, because I mean there's like rules. I know there's certain people that hold themselves to rules. I try to hold myself to things. Like if I have like, say I walk into a building and someone presses a gun to the back of my head and is like, I don't know, like, this is a hold up, put your hands up and don't fucking say anything, then I deafen instantly as soon as I'm in a situation like that, rather than being like, oh, I'm being held up in this house, come help me please.
And I tried to do that as well, but I'm more than guilty of relaying information without a character communication. But as I've gotten more into the community and stuff like that, I try to deafen and stuff like that. But I think it's the value of loot and the value like out of character, like out of game and out of character of your in-game life and stuff like that.
It's finding a balance between the fact that you're playing a game and the RP aspect of Doug, because obviously if you're in a fight, you're running in a 2-man group, like it's slightly a bit far away from the rest of your squad, and then one of your guys gets killed and the other one, like, they're aiming I don't know, like break his leg, knock him unconscious, or like force him to surrender. But the chances are the guy that was killed is already called out in comms. He's like, oh, I was just shot. I'm dead. This house, this place.
Yeah.
It's just kind of a.
I think it also
catch-22 almost.
Kind of plays into a don't be afraid to lose. Take your L, swallow your pride, and just kind of go along with it. Like, if you're shot or if you're in a situation, even if you got your buddies around the corner that could probably roll up and fucking end it immediately, roll with it. See how it goes. And let it go.
The key thing I try to go for is just, say if I've got a guy pressing a gun to my head, I'm not going to be able to just be like, hey, this guy's over here robbing me, because I'd be if I was to say that like out loud, then I mean he's gonna shoot me because I've just told all my friends where he is. It's a weird, because obviously it's like a catch-22 of like we're playing a game, and like if you get shot in a game, your first instinct is to be like, oh, I'm dead, someone's over here.
Yeah, most definitely. And that's what I was talking about. With out of character communication, which I think it's great. It helps obviously with group play and stuff like that. Just kind of expanding that, like, just take, just deafen, mute, don't say anything, and just kind of like take it, roll with the story type of thing. And if you die, GG, go next again.
Yeah, like if I'm in combat and I go like, uncon, and I'm alone, I'll pretty much deafen. And then if I wake up and I've got people all standing around me like, you're coming with us, then I'm just gonna roll with it. But if it's like in the middle of combat and I've got like, I don't know, 5 friends like literally right behind me, same room as me, I'm like, oh, I'm on con, he's in that room on the left side, something like that.
Yeah.
What Ryan said is the complete truth, by the way. You need to be willing to lose in order to win.
Yeah.
You need to be willing to lose an encounter, and lose in the game sense, not in the community sense. Because you'll win for the community or for your faction or for your group or personally. Because you will, if you lose, you will give somebody else
You'll give them
something.
a chance to win. Yeah.
Yeah, you give
User
somebody
joined
else
your
a chance to
channel.
win, give somebody else to tell a story, but you're the person giving them that story.
Yeah,
So,
and there's like strength and honor in it, I guess.
That touches on what I was gonna say with my cue. Is in most situations, if you're putting yourself in the in-game disadvantage like that by getting held up, you're not even losing.
User disconnected
I'll
from your
give
channel.
the interaction I had the other day as an example. I got held up, and I'll tell you, the interaction they gave me by me being held up was 10 times better than I would have gotten if I didn't let them hold me up. It was so much better of an experience for me to go through that and get the interaction
User joined your channel.
than to not. So it's not even losing in that sense, because if we're all here to roleplay, which as we're members, it's kind of just the common goal of Doug, getting that roleplay is the win. Regardless of what happens to you in game, you are getting the roleplay.
I mean, it's like an interaction I've spoken a lot about. Was like the first time I met Dam, where we were found surrounded in a house. Basically, we were ready to like fight and die in the process of all of it, but then instead, I think it was Dave that was there, talked us down, said, "Oh, come on, we can do this another way. You don't have to die. You can walk out of this alive. Don't be stupid." And we holstered our guns
User
and
joined your channel.
actually went with it. And it turned out to be, well, at that time, the thing that really got me into the server. It was bloody intense.
And obviously, there are going to be those characters that, like, even like for their character reasons, they're not going to accept being robbed. They're going to fight back, and they're going to put up a fight. And it's just respect. I guess it just goes both ways. Like, respect is the major thing that I guess we're looking for when it comes to Doug. And roleplay is respecting each other and respecting the other person's RP, and that we don't have to win all the time in both senses, in game and in RP. That just learning to take the hit and kind of go with it type of thing.
That's another thing. It's being mad because being mad for in character reasons versus, oh, this guy's holding me up, he's taking all my shit. It's kind of differentiating between like, oh, this man's gonna take all my stuff, like being mad about like out of game angles, and I don't know, like knowing that if you're gonna kick up a fuss here, then you're very likely gonna get seriously hurt or killed even in character. That concludes my point, though.
I think we can move on to the next topic. That was a very thorough discussion about that. The next discussion is, I think it's from Recluse. 1 second. OOC dislike directing hostile actions and OOC friendships preventing hostile actions and how it cripples RP on Doug. Go ahead, Davies.
I'll say with the whole hostile interactions, like definitely recently I'll say, I would say I've taken, more hostile actions against, out of character friends, and that has completely fucking shit the bed. And it's like, if I'm gonna get fucking yelled at out of character by people I thought were friends for shit I did in game, like, what's the fucking point? It's like, why would I do that? And I feel like there's a big thing of just people needing to separate it. That's literally everything. It's just, you need to be able to separate it. And if you can't do that, there's a massive issue.
User left your
Let's
channel.
see. Mac, go ahead.
Yeah, it's pretty much coming up off of what Davey said. Like, there's been times where, well, back in the Rangers or whatever, we'd hold someone up and then it would just become a big OC shitstorm of, oh my god, I can't believe you robbed me. I thought we were friends. We've
User
talked
left
so
your
much in the
channel.
Discord or TeamSpeak or whatever in it. But instead, the mentality I try to have with it is I try to give them a good interaction, especially if I'm like friends with them, whether it be friendly, like actually a friendly interaction, or a hostile interaction where they're being like held up or tortured or what have you. I feel like that should be the focus. And, oh, that was a really good interaction. Not, oh, why'd you take my stuff?
Let's see. Tom, go ahead.
To go off of what Davies and Mac kind of said, I personally, like, I mean, Buck, I'm sure, can partially attest for it. I know that in the beginning of Regime, there was a lot of hostile interaction between scribes, Black Sheep, Dugout, like all these people where Regime had been hostile to. Regime had been there, like talking, interacting, shooting, like all that, the whole 9 yards. And I mean, there never seemed to be really hurt feelings. And that's because, like, if you make sure it is something enjoyable, you're doing more than just shooting them up all the time, or you're doing more than just running up to them, putting a gun to their head, saying "drop your shit," take their shit, and run away. Like that type of stuff will leave more of a sour taste in people's mouths because they aren't getting that interaction, which can kind of seep to out of character. While it shouldn't, but it can. It's inevitable.
Very
User
much
disconnected
agree
from your
with
channel.
that. Let's see. Audie, go ahead.
So kind of, I kind of want to base a little bit off of what Tom said, but I also base my interactions off of characters and not groups. So for instance, Mac, which you can attest, I literally ran up the coast with you one day. There was another guy from Dark as Midnight. I think his name was Chef, and I was wandering around with him like in Severo for an entire day. However, there's other people in Dark as Midnight that will like shoot me for no reason, and I run away. Like if I see them, I will run away. That's just those people. But I base my interactions and like my character, I base them off of the people that I meet, not groups. So, and oh shit, I kind of want to call out Bastion a little bit. Like even Bastion might know that, but that was like from way back when. My character's always been based off of like just people, you know. But what's really cool about that is that you can go around, you can create stories, you can talk to people, you can hang out with different groups, and I mean, sometimes that's great. Other times, you might get shot in the face, you never know. But regardless,
User
you're always
disconnected
just
from your
making
channel.
stories, and you're always, creating content or whatever. Anyways, that was my point, but I was just kind of like bouncing off of what Tom and Mac said.
Joe, go ahead.
I just want to check, we're still on the OSC friendships, OSC hatred thing, aren't we?
Yes.
I just want to say on this one, be aware of your own blind spots. Like everyone kind of thinks they take everything very objectively, but it doesn't really always work out that way. You're constantly critical of yourself and think, do I actually have any reason to be friendly with these people? Do I actually have any reason to be hostile, etc., etc.? You can sort of like catch yourself on these things and not really let them affect you. That's pretty much all I want to say.
All right. Let's see. Anybody else have anything to talk about on this topic? All right. Walter, the next topic is yours. Would you care to introduce it?
Sure. Talk about the win mentality, specifically feeling the need to bring another faction into raid if you don't feel confident that you have the manpower yourself. when what you should be doing is open the lines of communication to your enemy and working out a compromise that actually matches your faction's abilities. So this isn't about anyone specifically. It was more, I posted this pre-wipe, and it seemed like there were a lot of groups leaning towards like offensive alliances again. And personally, it's just my opinion, I don't think offensive alliances are very healthy for the server and community in general. For the most part, they seem like the excuses for putting them together seem kind of contrived, when in reality it's just, I don't have enough people, so where can I get some more bodies? There are exceptions to that rule, but for the most part, that's what it ends up feeling like. And I think that a lot of times it would actually provide more opportunity for story if, instead of putting together an offensive alliance, you just man up and go talk to whoever it is you're having trouble with and being like, okay, you win. What do you want? How can we work through this? How do we get past it? Whatever. And actually coming up with a solution that you can actually realistically do by yourself as a group. I think that it'd be a lot better if more factions stood on their own feet. That's it.
User left your channel.
Blake, go ahead.
I completely agree. Just like to point out that it also goes for so-called defensive alliances. I'm sure anyone who's had any sort of hostile interaction in Zelenogorsk or Severograd can attest that the minute you shoot, there's already 20 people logging on. And it's all well and good to say that groups should stand on their own 2 feet, but if you're for example, Severograd, when FL was pursuing the story of Black Cross, we had 5 active members, and on a good day, like the best circumstances, like 3 of them would be online at one time. And Black Cross probably had about double that, and we pursued a hostile story against them where we were trying to take Sverdino. And then the Dugout got involved, the Fireflies got involved, the Sentinels got involved, and so you have 4 groups versus a group of 3 people trying to do basically a minor border skirmish. And it's all well and good to say, yeah, maybe you shouldn't grab all your mates to go attack someone in a mega alliance, but it also goes both ways. And I think people should really be more conscious of, especially in defensive situations, like, do I really need to bring all these people? And I like to think that FL handled it in a pretty good way. Like, we basically tried to punish the Dugout for getting involved. We threatened Black Cross with bringing in a much bigger group on our side. We didn't want to do it, but we basically said, unless you stop this, we will do it. And as a result, we were able to freeze out everyone that wasn't Black Cross out of any negotiations in the conflict, because from our perspective, it was just Black Cross and us, and we wanted to keep it that way. So if you're a major group of 15 plus people, do you really need a defensive alliance with your neighbor? Like, when you hear shots over there, should you be running over there for a raid? I think it's the other side of the same argument, and I really think it should also be talked about as well.
Can I respond?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, so while I agree, defensive alliances are not great either. As the attacker / raiding group, whatever, you do have the advantage of picking the time and place, and the defending group does not have that advantage, and that is a huge advantage. So while I agree with you, defensive groups are not, like, alliances are not good. They're not nearly the same ballpark as offensive alliances. But I will, and when I say that I agree with you, we agree with you in practice. The Carnival has taken a large step back from being in any sort of defensive alliance, because we, as a group, felt like that factions needed to do more to stand on their own 2 feet. So I agree with you to an extent. Defense, that's what I'm saying.
Which part do you disagree with then, if you agree with me to an extent, just so I'm clear?
That I don't feel like defensive alliances are in the same ballpark as offensive alliances.
Okay,
Simply because, well, the attackers already have an advantage.
User in your channel timed out.
That's it.
All right, Matt, go ahead.
I think the key thing, talking about the offensive alliances, as it were, obviously, if, well, one group, like, say, DAM, is messing with, like, a lot of other groups, like, I don't know, Black Cross, Dugout, to name a couple.
User
of
entered
course,
your channel.
I can understand, like, why they would want to kind of join forces, and I mean, if someone's gonna go out of their way to piss off a lot of people, then it's only fair that all of those people can have kind of an accord or all have reason to want to put their weight together and swing it around. Yeah, I think that's fine, but obviously it's just the case of, oh, this group, one of these group members robbed one of our people. You want to come over? You want to like gather like your entire group and join us while we give them a black eye? It's more about like proportional stuff. And in terms of defensive alliances, it's a slippery slope because obviously, as was said about like Dugout and Black Cross, of course, like in the situation of like FL and Black Cross, the group sizes and stuff, yeah, standing on your own 2 feet is definitely should be considered. But if, say, Black Cross is getting attacked by a group of like greater size or maybe equal size, it would strike me as kind of weird if Dugout, who are like, well, their neighbor, like almost kind of like a sister faction to them, would just stand there and watch as the Black Cross got the shit kicked out of them, basically.
Let's see.
didn't that
Ryan,
happen?
go ahead.
I'm pretty sure that happened, didn't it?
Wait, what did?
That Dugout watched Black Cross get dicked on by a larger group.
Oh yeah, it's like it's a really
User disconnected from your
weird
channel.
kind of. I feel like it's kind of, well, obviously with the FL and Black Cross thing, we had kind of the pendulum swung one way of Dugout got involved when maybe it wasn't needed, but then the pendulum swung back, and maybe as a result of that previous kind of lack of involvement, the previous over-involvement, it kind of swung back to they didn't want a repeat of that again.
User joined your
so
channel.
they didn't step into it.
I think it's just a matter of faction leaders need to actually take a step back and ask what makes sense and what doesn't. Because yes, sometimes it does make sense for factions to join up, but sometimes it's just, well, these people have been shooting us a lot, and now we see an opportunity to join with this group because they're mad. So we're gonna go get to raid them into the ground, guys, because we got the people now.
All right, next. We need to
Just
cheat our one.
as faction leaders, we need to be
Cheat
aware.
out, cat, and
That's all it is.
All right.
My point, by the way.
Next person to talk is Ryan. I
Uh,
think
I
we're
pretty
not
much
gonna.
answered. Yeah, I pretty much answered my statement or mentioned it in chat. Basically, just letting factions deal with their own affairs when it makes sense, but it's already been covered. So
Let's after Joe. I think this topic can be done. We kind of need to move a little bit faster, but go ahead, Forrest.
Oh, I was just gonna say I can only speak on behalf of Dugout and Black Cross, but like, especially now that I'm in Dugout, it makes zero sense roleplay wise for me to hear shots at the aid station and then just kind of sit back and like, they can handle themselves. Like, these are the people that I was brothers with for like 2 years. So like, if stuff's going on down there, I'm gonna go help. Just to be like, oh, they can handle it on themselves. Like, it just doesn't make any sense for me. Black Cross and Dugout have been best of buds for like almost 3 years now. So like, I don't know. I guess you should know what you're getting into.
I think Joe was next.
Yeah, I basically just wanted to agree with Scuzz. People should think about if getting involved in something is worth it for them, if it's justifiable given the risk, if they're prepared to lose people for it, and if there's an answer of no to any of those questions, maybe just don't get involved. Often you can have a lot more interesting story if it's between smaller groups of people, ironically, and sometimes that should be allowed to happen. I'm not saying always, I'm not talking about any examples, but just as a general point.
Alright, is Herr Kurt here? Don't think so. I'll introduce the topic for him. He said to have a proposal for the principle of proportional response in conflicts with gradual escalation as a guideline for conflict RP. Gradual escalation encourages more interactions that are RP opportunities. It might also lead to a more sustainable hostilities between groups with different attitudes towards PvP. As an example, when applied to Black Cross and Dam, let's not be coy, a baseline may be KOS, but only occasional attacks against the other side's territory. If BC wins a fight, then a higher escalation could be justified, but rage should be rare because Black Cross won't attack back and doesn't look for fights. Note that during the current conflict with Dam, they have shown restraint and they have noticed, but an example of how things might have gone differently in the initial raid in response to Black Cross banning Dam after a long build-up. There could have been a longer build-up to the raid after the build-up to the ban, with more interactions and choices to escalate or de-escalate. Yes, it isn't as organic, but I think it's healthy for encouraging better RP on both sides and community conduct. Whew. Alright, I believe, Pablo, you're up.
Hello, here, this link will aid what I'm gonna say. It's kind of building just by happenstance, like on the interjection point I made earlier, just about the community meeting in general, but like in terms of an action list, how something like that, like when a solution might be discussed about that, we would have like a bulletin board or this month on Doug, like a thing of like, okay, us community members that are really into the RP or really into the server, here's the thing that we agreed upon to kind of tend to do. Nothing very specific, like oh, we will be here at this time at this, but it's like, and there I made just like an example, like, oh, we will try to focus on exploring the coast, is doing this, or in the case of Kurtz, it might be something like, oh, for this next month we're gonna try these new guidelines for large factions engaging in war, like we're gonna try this, like as vague as comfortably vague as possible, because obviously you don't want to like dictate, oh, here's our guidelines and give some like too strict thing, but it's kind of like if we come up with solutions, writing it down and sort of posting it for members as like, okay, we can refer to this month, this is what we want to experiment with, like in this case of Kurtz, of like, here's some guidelines that we can follow or try if we agree upon.
Alright, that's a pretty cool document you got there. I think Meeps is next.
It's more question and answer, but like in regards to the proposition, what would be an acceptable amount of time? Because for example, in the Black Cross Dam conflict, we went about we did a week of trying to just talk to them, then some conflict happened, then next week, I think we had some random break into their base and they got in, and then it was like, then the official ban happened, and then it escalated even further with some RP, like hostile RP while talking. Then it escalated to shooting, and then into a raid, which was over a month and a half period. Should we be waiting longer? Because waiting even longer could kill any potential like story coming out of it. Like, for example, I've waited 9 months for a story, and it just killed all hope of it after it happened. So my main question would be, what would be an acceptable time frame? I would think a month and a half would be like a month and a half of like
User
going
joined your
there every
channel.
week at least, and creating something happening, and like then after a month and a half, a raid would happen if no solution was made, and there was no willingness to make a solution at that
Do
point.
you mind if I interject, Mapes, as like a response, because that's what my queue was about?
Okay.
I would probably say that it would be up to whoever you're fighting, in this case Black Cross. I can tell you that when we did the Svergina conflict, we pretty much agreed, I think within the first week on an out of character level, that the conflict wouldn't, or this is map claim related, so it's kind of, that's how the conversation happened, but we agreed that it wouldn't last longer than one map cycle, so about 2.5 months at the time.
Well, we
yeah.
committed to finding a solution for it eventually. I think
That's
that
true.
was
yeah,
the wording.
Yeah, that was the specific sort of arrangement. So, it's on one hand, you don't want to like drag it out for like 8 months so that it's burnt out and no one wants to participate in it anymore, like the East vs West war. But you also don't want it to be like 1 week,
User
so
joined
it's
your channel.
over and like just a raid and everyone stops playing. I don't think there is a magic time. You probably have to figure that sort of stuff out in advance. Can't really say, yeah, like 1.5 months to me, that's a pretty good time, but for other people it may not be. You just got to keep in mind who you're engaging a story with.
Go ahead, Poopy.
I mean, I guess you guys can tell me if I'm wrong or not, but also at a certain point, I mean, all of this that we're talking about depends on how that other person is feeling about it, right? Like Blake is that who was just talking.
Yep.
You were just saying that you waited a certain amount of time. You had a reasonable, like, you had conversations with them, but I'm going to be honest, based on
Forrest, you're typing, by the way.
certain people, like, I guess my thing is like, what limit are we going to draw on where that other like, why do we need to care what that other person has when we already put our work in and we did it in a reasonable time, right? Because I know, like, Kurt, was this Kurt's suggestion that
Yes.
put in there? Like, this has been beat into the ground already so many times, and it's used as another suggestion where I think he put, like, he believes it could have waited more, but also a lack of, like, him putting anything out also, where we're just bringing up the same thing over and over again.
User
I
left
think,
your
I guess
channel.
my thing is like, when do we draw the line of like that community, like the other person is just not looking, both groups aren't on the same page, so
User
one
left
group
your
is just
channel.
going to go ahead and continue the story themselves. You know, does that make any
User
sense
left
what I
your
just said?
channel.
Yeah, I mean,
User
I
left
think
your channel.
you're very right that this topic has been beat to death in previous meetings, and I don't care to continue it. I think it's more of a personal issue than anything, and can be discussed out of here if
Right, and
people
yeah,
wish
and
to.
it 100% has too. So like, I just
Yeah,
think that
so
I
I
think
think we can
OC
move on.
conversation is good, but like this conversation is.
Yeah, and the next topic from
Skip it.
Corey has been discussed with Waves topic, and then the next topic is from me. It's raiding with your normal gear. If you're going to a raid, at least give the defenders a fair shake. I personally like raiding, and if someone kills me, they will be getting the best I can afford. I feel like it's only fair if I'm going to attempt to take someone's best stuff to give them a chance to have some of my stuff. Putting away your cool stuff because you're going to throw your life away pushing a building in a
User
raid
joined your
is
channel.
just lame. I think I all too often, it's been a long time since I've been raiding or defending, to be honest. Being in a nomad group for quite a while kind of took away a lot of that. But I just think it's almost no value for life if you put away your good stuff because you understand out of character that you're gonna die. Like you realize that you are going to die, like most likely, and then you take steps to just make that more affordable rather than play differently.
Hey Buck, this Rush. Want to also say like PID as well, not just the gear. Like especially for factions, large factions. I know this has been talked about in other community meetings, but if you're gonna go do something, whether it's crackhead, not, whether it's within your character or not. Like if you've got an alt, that's fine to do. But if you're especially a faction member, I think it's just should go without saying. You should be wearing your PID. You know, you should be wearing, you know, what gear you'd normally wear. I think putting anything away goes against probably what your character would RP as, and probably against what we're trying to promote. So that would be one thing. I think going in crackhead gear is just should be probably reserved for an alt.
Audie had something to say as well.
Yeah, so I know I shouldn't have anything to say because I'm part of a group that actually doesn't raid people. But being someone who, you know, gets shot at or raided a lot, I'm just saying that basically backing off of what the last person said. I'm sorry, I didn't even catch your name. I wasn't paying attention. But with the PID thing, like, I mean, I get it. You can sit there and say you're not, you know, oh yeah, it's so fair to sit there and raid somebody with your best gear and stuff, and it's like, I mean,
Buddy left
not
your
a
channel.
lot of people are gonna go with that. But to at least be in your PID,
User disconnected from your channel.
that makes a big difference. That actually is able to push story, able to, you know, I mean, if you want to be seen there rating a certain place, and even if the people who you're rating like doesn't see you, but another person does, like how cool is that? You know, that's like a story. But I mean, that's just my 2 cents. But I'm done now.
Matt, go ahead.
User left your channel.
I feel like the key thing is as well, it's like it doesn't make sense in character kind of perspective, because if you're knowingly charging into a situation where you could a place that'd be dangerous, why would you drop your plate carrier for a stab vest? Why would you drop your SVD for an SKS? Like, why would you go in there with shit that could very well, like, I don't know, not serve you nowhere near as well as where per se your actual good gear would have. And I mean, of course, in terms of like raiding out of PID, false flagging is its own thing. But like, I mean, yeah, if like someone's fucked with Dam, and then we're gonna like mess with them back, leaving like notes or like leaving. Well, we're gonna be raiding in PID and leaving notes or people so that people know if you have a problem with
User
Dam,
left your channel.
then we want you to know why or what you've done or what you can do to, I don't know, stop it from happening. But there are some times where false flagging and trying to sow discord between two different parties it makes sense.
I think Echo is next.
Oh, yes. I just wanted to give an example. Torchwood did a raid on ORCC a couple weeks ago, I believe, right before End of Wipe, and we all went in our best gear, and it was kind of a spur of the moment thing. So we all had, a bunch of people had plate carriers on, vests, M4s, NVGs, and we ended up losing some of that stuff due to like grenades and other ways of dying, and we weren't salty about it. You can always get gear back. As some of the mod team and staff say, don't play the numbers, play the game. We didn't worry about what guns we had or what we would lose. We worried about what story would come out of the attack and what was going to happen if we failed or if we got in.
I'll just bring up one more thing about this rush again. So when you're there too, you don't have to be silent, right? You don't have to be like completely quiet while you're there. It's often pretty funny actually. If you've got raiders coming in or something else, if you want to interact, you can say, you know, you can even push story while you're there. Like it's sometimes harder if there's active combat going on, but if you're outside the gate, like you can have good conversation while that shit's happening too. It's just a suggestion.
Yeah, we did the same thing at ORCC. I was talking to Finch throughout the whole thing until he got killed, and I was going back and forth with him, evolving our character's feud. even if you're in conflict, you can always try to talk to people and push story.
Believe ammo is up.
Yeah, I think we've been going back and forth this evening about in character, out of character interactions, and mainly how we progress as a community or don't progress as a community, because people have that win mentality or not that win mentality, valuing life, not valuing your life, and I think that's a big issue. I mean, it's been what, 2 hours, almost.
Almost.
And it's all been that subject, and there's not been a conclusion, not been a decision. It's just been, yeah, I agree. Nah, I don't agree. I kind of agree. I mean,
I've got a suggestion.
Sure, go.
Okay, so we were just talking about that, and I suggested PID. So I think it should be a strike against a faction if they participate in something not in PID that is substantial to their story.
Yeah, but that's just this case, but in general, the whole thing is about people trying to win, people not respecting each other's role play. It's all about how the community interacts with each other, and I think that's the core of the problem.
Yeah, I would agree, but I think Pablo put a suggestion earlier that would kind of combat that, which was like a published article, kind of saying these are the general behaviors. I think that's a great idea.
I agree that anything to combat this issue is a great idea, but are people gonna agree with that, or are we just gonna go and discuss things, agree and disagree with each other, and go away from this room again tonight without any resolvement? Because that's what I'm feeling right now. Sorry.
I mean, there's...
And I don't mean a gentleman's agreement, by the way, because that's no.
There's a few like concrete things that we could do. We could have staff purge the whitelist and people need to reapply. We could various forms of that, like fix the community per se. But I think what's important is that we try to talk to people. The people here might all vaguely agree on the same ideas about, for instance, respecting people's roleplay. But that doesn't mean that the people that they're friends with do. And so private conversations with people about these topics, actually getting your friends to change, behavior in Discord behind, private channels, etc., that's where the real change happens. And this just gets people on the same page. Because if not everybody kind of understands, one, what the problems are, and then two, what we'd like to see, then when we talk to people, the things are very, like we wouldn't have a, say, united idea of how to improve things.
Well, change is hard, but yeah, this is my first community meeting with you guys, and yeah, I've been part of a few way before. I just don't think any decisions are getting made. It's just people talking in a circle.
There's a general problem. If we don't reach consensus, sometimes nothing happens. We only reach consensus on like 20% of the stuff, maybe.
Yeah, well,
so.
That's what I said right when we got here. That was my concern about how we never come up with conclusions or solutions.
The reason is you can't change people's minds if they don't want them to be changed.
Yep, you come down to basically either these people stick around or you tell them to leave because they don't have that same mentality that Doug is wanting.
User joined your channel.
I mean, I think that's just going to have to come from
User left
deciding
your
if we're
channel.
going to be RP first. You might have to set some restrictions or set something of that level.
What restrictions?
Let's see. It's just more of like, okay, so you I mean, you want this foot? I mean, hell.
No,
wiping
no,
on
I don't want anything. You're suggesting to put in restrictions. I'm just asking you,
I
okay,
think
what restrictions?
I think he was just overall stating like just going with the fact that everybody was talking about specific restrictions. I don't think Ruckus was
Yeah, well,
planning
I don't
on
think
bringing
that's
up
the
specific
I don't-
ones.
I
I have
And
an
this
idea.
happens every single time, Ammo. Like we talk about this, I think everybody's just like Buck said, discussing things, but a lot of the times nothing gets brought up because
I
who
don't
makes
think
the decisions in this
I don't
community?
think putting in the restrictions is a good solution. I think the community needs to put in the restrictions.
I had an idea. Mine. I was trying to tack it on at the end of the community meeting, though, at the end of the topics, because I think it was different and it wasn't mentioned. So I'll just wait, if that's okay, Buck.
Yeah, I would just like we've got like just a handful of things left to discuss, and I think this would be a great thing to talk about at the very
Yeah,
end.
I'll
so
stop.
that it's
Sorry.
Okay.
so that it's like fresh in everybody's mind when we kind of convene. Just want to do justice to the few things suggested left.
Buddy joined your
Tom's
channel.
topic is the next one. It's been pretty covered in a lot of ways, and I think Kane's topic has been also covered in a lot of ways. A lot of the things we had so far are very similar, though we can briefly discuss Kane's topic, and it's just basically about lowering your standards of what's acceptable PID to start role-playing. I think there's not really there's not really a magic happy medium for everyone on this, and I'm sure it's very personal for everybody. So, like Shep says there, it's almost like there's hundreds of different people with different opinions on how things should be done, and their PID is very personal. But go ahead, Audie.
Well, I mean, you're right. It's definitely personal. I used to sit there and be all like, "Oh, well, if I can find shorts, then I'll just be Audie." But no, it's honestly, especially with the wipe lately, and honestly, just the last couple of months, I just grab whatever I find. And if someone talks to me, I'll tell them I'm Audie. I don't even you know, uh, lie, or I don't sit there and pretend to be somebody else anymore. Like, um, I remember people used to do that to me and it was kind of irritating. So I thought, well, maybe I should be the change that I wanted to see. And I've actually noticed that a lot of other people started doing it too. Like, Cookie, I don't think she's here, but I remembered her being, a certain PID. And, one time I happened to find her and she literally looked like, a vest and a t-shirt and jeans. And she was like, "Oh, hi, I'm Cookie." And I was like, "Oh, that's awesome." I thought it was great. And, we got an interaction, we got a story. It was awesome. I just thought, like, if more people did that and not worrying about PID so much, maybe.
User
But then again,
disconnected from your channel.
I guess circling back, it's more of a personal thing. That's just me, though.
Go ahead, Steve.
I'm done.
Go ahead, Freddy, and this will be the last on this topic.
Oh, you called me?
Yep.
Okay, sorry if the mic's kind of shitty, it might work. But what I'm trying to get on that topic of the PID is that we also can't not stress PID at all, because how we just spoke about like a little bit ago about, for example, people rating out of PID. PID is still important. I believe it's still important. And yeah, you can have your moments where, oh, you're trying to figure out what works best for you. Because I know I spent like 2 months figuring out what's a good PID for me. But if we can try and limit the amount of times that we do just switch out our clothing every single second, especially if we're in a group, it would be preferred. Because
left your
not
channel.
only in an RP sense, but it's also just in a
All right. I understand things seem like they're
User
talking in
disconnected from your channel.
circles, and I agree. We'll very much at the end cover what we can do about that. I just don't want to necessarily skip the rest of the topics to get to there, but we will get there. All right. The next topic is from me, and it is virtue signaling in Discord, what it is and why it's bad. I have noticed an incredible amount of virtue signaling in the Discord regarding RP and the wipe, people talking about the RP they're doing in Discord, but then in-game KOSing, engaging in cracktivities, etc. OOC lying is against Doug rules, and if you're going to be a crackhead, don't lie OOC about what an angel you are. I'd like to have a discussion talk about how serious this is and how it gives the wrong impression to new members about what groups actually do. Well, that statement pretty much just entirely
User joined your channel.
explains what I'm feeling about just the Discord behavior of some people that's just blatantly false about like, oh, I'm doing all this RP when it's obvious to anyone that meets you in game you're not, and that's fine. You don't have to RP in game, but lying about it in Discord is just lame. Like, there's no point. It's why? Like, come on. We're adults. Be better than that. Like, if just people, their Discord behavior was more reflective of what they either do in game. Like, if you're just gonna nay on people in KOS all day, then just post nay KOS montages. Nothing wrong with that, man. I'd like to see them as much as everybody, rather than bragging about all the dank RP or whatever. Anyways, Audie, go ahead.
I brought this up at a different community meeting, but I think this fits into the same era, which I never saw any difference. But where like when don't get me wrong, okay, in game, like I don't like Torchwood, but out of game, they're actually cool people, like for real. Like they're really nice guys, and some of their stories are awesome. I don't understand why their shit is getting downvoted on the Reddit. I think that's stupid. Honestly, and honestly, anybody to downvote anything on the Reddit is also stupid. Because that's making us as a community like look dumb. Like, please stop doing that.
How do we get onto Reddit?
Are you kidding me? So if you're whitelisted and you're part of the Reddit and you go and you see,
I think he's more talking about like how the discussion went from Discord behavior and
It's another
OOC
form-
lying to downvoting
It's,
on
an,
Reddit.
it's another form of the virtue signaling.
it's virtue signaling.
What, downvoting people on Reddit?
Yes.
Well, yeah,
I think it's just
literally.
being cunt.
Thank you. Okay, thank you. But for people to sit there and say, you know, oh, I'm about community, or oh, like I really love what this community is supposed to be about, and then you've got literally like half the people downvoting certain people on the Reddit.
Yeah,
That's not
I guess
fair.
I can see where
That's
you're coming from
stupid.
now. I didn't quite understand where you were coming from, but now I do.
Okay,
Okay,
but
yeah, I agree.
But I mean, what I'm saying is that if we can all just upvote, you know, it doesn't cost anything. It doesn't hurt anybody. It actually makes us look better as a community if we just
User
upvote
left your
everyone's stories. Okay, I'm sorry. I'm done. I'll stop.
Desync.
To go on what Audie was saying, again, if you're downvoting somebody, the reason why you should be downvoting something, especially on the Reddit, is because it doesn't fit to what Doug should be. Like, if you're looking at something that's just like a random shit post, yeah, downvote it. If anything, report it. The moderators will remove it. But when it comes to Discord, if somebody's outright just lying OOC, especially in a DMs or a conversation, or even like something impersonal, just report it. We shouldn't be protecting people like that. For instance, there have been people who will have outright video evidence of somebody, and they'll just say, "Yeah, that wasn't me," and they're not being reported, which leaves me scratching my head as to why. If we have these people still around doing that type of stuff, it just can further encourage that type of behavior. That's all I have to say.
Go ahead, Bastion.
I just wanted to go back up to what you were talking about. Can you go into more detail about what you meant by your topic? What are you trying to discover here, or get at, or solve?
So, for instance, someone like saying Doug General had a lot of great RP today. Love talking to everybody. When like, say, all they actually did in game was just KOS a bunch of people. And like it's quite obvious to people who know them, like, oh, they just KOS'd a bunch of people. And then, say, a newer member to the community who doesn't actually know this person takes that seriously and thinks like, oh, this person is doing a bunch of RP or something. And it's just misrepresenting yourself. And as much as like the in-jokes are funny, it's misleading to newer players, and I don't think misleading newer players helps at all with the kind of problem of onboarding people into the community we have. Doug's as a community is a little hard to get into, and just giving false information doesn't help that at all.
I think you're right about everything you said, but I guess it's about every topic here. I'm just not sure what's going to happen. And I'm part of the problem too. We said we need to do something about it. But I guess my question is, what exactly is that?
Report it when you see it.
Are you talking about like
see? But if Buck reported that and he knew that it's just a shitty lie that some person is saying, but let's say he knows that he doesn't have video evidence of that person the whole time.
Paper trail adds up.
You're thinking of this in like a staff sense, when like I'm thinking of it as like if everybody here like is more aware of this happening, and then they see someone in their own group do it, for instance, they can call them out in their private Discord, the person deletes the comment in the Doug Discord, and then it's problem solved, and maybe the person doesn't do it again. Like little steps, you know. We're only capable of so much, but you are capable of who you're friends with, and like talking to the people you are friends with, and calling your friends out. Because if you want the server to be better, your own friend group is a part of that. People take criticism from their friends better than from other people. So we have a wide range of people here. If people tell their friends who are doing things that aren't desirable on Doug that these things are not desirable, and hopefully they'll move to have better behavior, right? It's affecting large change in a community is incredibly hard, but a grassroots way of doing it like that is, I guess, the only way I personally see change happening. If that makes any sense.
Sure.
Eeps, go ahead.
In regards to this whole like OOC lying thing, so how like if we know, I know there's discords out there where their whole goal is to pretty much trash talk other groups. And I know sometimes people will post purposely, I guess the best word is slanderous comments about somebody when it is clearly false, even though there's video evidence proving that none of that happened. Should we report that?
That's a staff question.
Because it is a different Discord.
I'm sorry, can you ask a question again?
I know there's other Discords out there where their whole goal it's sort of echo chamber, but in that area they are posting purposely slanderous content where it's like they're degrading that person's character. Is that reportable? should we report that? If we have evidence saying that, hey, this didn't happen, here's a video of it, but you're saying it did happen to all these different groups to make them look bad on purpose.
Every situation along those lines is going to be different. But if you think you have something, I would just go ahead and put in a ticket. I can't guarantee a result one way or the other, obviously, but it's always better if you think something's off, just put in the ticket and let us sort through it.
Okay.
I think the answer to Woody's question there would just be to not answer. Is the thing. If you just don't answer in-game questions like that consistently enough, people will stop asking you. Or when people ask you, they'll just not be at all surprised when you give them the same answer you always give them, which is find out in-game. You just consistently do that enough towards like metagaming questions like that, then I think that almost solves that problem. The next two topics are the last two we'll have getting towards the end here.
Wait, what
where
about
we'll have-
mine? Is mine on there?
No, yours will be after these. The next one's from Fred. He's just asking about the one-tap meta. Do we want it or not?
User left
And
your
if we
channel.
do want it or not, then what ways can we combat them? Because they seem common this patch.
What's one tap meta?
It's where you get killed with one bullet from a gun.
Doesn't
I
that
just-
always happen?
I want to interject and say that I think the best person to talk about balancing gun damage in general is ammo, because from what I understand, it's not as simple as people think it is.
You want me to talk about this right now? I would first like to hear people's opinions.
Sure.
Alright, go ahead, Davies.
I was just gonna say, like last wipe, for example, like plate carriers were way more abundant. Like I'm not exactly so bothered with the gun damage itself. That like, cause last wipe, when plates were more, accessible to, the common person. And yeah, maybe it doesn't make complete and utter sense, like in the game, but I don't want to get fucking 400 meters away, shot with a Mosin and just die every fucking time I get shot. Like I would rather be able to, put up a fight, and I feel like most people can agree with that. They don't just want to fucking get shot once and it's just it. Like with plate carriers last wipe, how they were more abundant, I think it made it more fun for everybody to have a fair chance in a gunfight,
I personally,
wouldn't
I
do it,
love
sorry.
the gun balance in the game on Doug right now. I like the fact that pretty much everything will at a minimum uncon somebody, and things wrap up quickly. So that's just my opinion. Go ahead, Claude.
Well, I mean, I talked about this a little bit, but the game changed a lot in the last year. A lot of guns were rebalanced. There's 10 guns that will kill you in one shot now if you don't have any armor. And on Doug, we've actually nerfed the stab vest compared to vanilla, so that you have no chance of living a shot from one of those 10 guns. I know I am in a group that PvPs a lot, but I also play my alt, does a lot of RP, and I think it's equally annoying for a PvPer as it is an RPer to not have like any opportunity to come back from a 300-meter shot that you didn't hear or see. At least in vanilla, you have an opportunity to sort of run or hide or do something, because you'll get unconned and maybe be flashing red health, but you're still not in a good situation. But it just opens up a lot more opportunity for people to then potentially continue on an interaction rather than just like, okay, I'm dead now. And it's different than it is on vanilla. So
Because you're wearing that one vest.
yeah, I mean, people can have that opportunity to decide to wear that if they want to be able to, not get murdered instantly. They still make the choice because there's other options. But they don't have a choice right now.
So everybody has to wear what?
I didn't say anyone had to wear anything.
Okay.
I said it would be nice for people to have an option.
Yeah,
like
but
they do in
nobody had a
vanilla.
choice. Nobody had a choice now. So what do they wear?
What are you trying to say?
You said there was no choice.
Yeah, because there's not an option of something that you can wear that will protect you from any of those guns, like there is in vanilla.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, well.
I believe Steve's up.
Okay, sorry, I'm Steve. Can I tell you just be quiet for a second? Because I'm this conversation I've been beating internally like a dead horse, and I might as well just bring it up to the community, even though I'm gonna get yelled at afterwards. The reason why I wanted Stab Vest to be changed is because that's all people were running, and otherwise they were just farming plate carriers because they knew how to more or less take advantage of it. That's why that's now gone, because people were actually outright just going out and abusing it. It's just a shame that those people weren't outright targeted and removed for exploiting, basically. Again, I wanted Stab Vests changed, and they were, because this was more or less what I wanted from Vests entirely. If you want to take a look at this was more or less my concept for it before we went with a different change. And I wanted tiers of armor, because there were stuff like the UK Assault Vest and the High Cap Vest that, as much as people have told me that people will be using it just a power game, as far as I'm concerned, people don't give a shit about the slots. People care more about protection in this instance than inventory space. And I think a lot of other people may potentially agree, and I hope so.
Well, I mean, yeah, we definitely made the suggestion that we would love to see some ballistic protection back on tac vests, considering they were very rare and,
Wait,
tier
assault
4.
vests give protection?
No,
That-
they don't. This is a suggestion.
Okay, yeah, because I was going to say I don't think assault vests should give
No,
protection at all.
as of right now, they don't. Tac vests don't. The only ones that do are the stab vests, ballistic vest, and plate carrier.
The problem
But
is
Doug,
that
on Doug, they've reduced the value of the protection of the stab vest to lower
because
than
they
it
were
was on
so
vanilla.
easy to find.
Yeah, and that's fine. And my suggestion is just make it harder to find them or make it harder to fix them. Make
They
it
were
cost
that we
more.
made that change.
No, but they get fixed with leather sewing kits.
Correct, they can be, because we decided that, but they can also be repaired with epoxy. And if
Why
you're
not
dumb
make
enough to
it
do
just
that, then do
epoxy?
that. Because they're still, again, the whole point is that they are good against melee, not ballistics. That is the intent of the item. Now, why BI decides to give them the values that they do, I don't know why. Why they're
So you
making these
think
choices.
BI is wrong in this sense?
I personally, I do. And that's, again, they made another nerf to stuff like the UK Assault Vest and the High Cap that they're even worse than before in all forms of protection.
User joined your channel.
In terms of melee protection, because they
In
haven't
all
had
forms of protection.
ballistic protection for a while now.
Why they choose to value these slots in the attachments of grenades, I don't know. And I don't agree with that, and I never will agree with that.
If you don't mind me interjecting, looking at that chart, I feel like the problem a lot of people have is, well, as Clyde had said previously, on Doug, the only real options you have if you want to survive most of the higher end guns in the game, even from an SKS,
Even a BK-18.
is a plate carrier and a press vest. Something I've always kind of hoped for was some more lower tier options, and this little chart that you've made, Desync, would be basically perfect in my
User
eyes.
left your
Introducing the field vest and the tac vest as kind of an intermediate
like this will let you survive, like, I don't know, maybe a rifle round, but you will be very messed up afterwards.
I have to say something that would drastically reduce the slots in the UCAS and the other vest, the tier 2s in these things.
If you want that reduced, it's fine.
be
But
okay
the
with that.
point is that people don't care about the slots in this instance. The protection is what matters.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Those are pockets.
Yeah, those are pockets.
Yeah.
They're just pockets.
So
My reason behind putting both of those in tier 2 is because there's still a risk to obtaining those items within reason, which is why I
military
said
exclusive, yes.
which is why I wanted them to have vanilla stab vest values, because even with a vanilla stab vest, I've had instances, again, I can only say from my own experience, where I have had people shoot me 3 times in the chest. My stab vest is badly damaged. I go uncon and I wake back up and they think I'm dead because that makes sense to them. 3 SKS shots, center mass, should have killed me, but it didn't.
And
if
that
you throw
wouldn't.
those values
those
onto
don't.
a vest like that, I think that would work.
Yeah, but what about adding like a tier 2 vest that has that protection value with no slots? That's a military only spawn.
That would more than likely mean we'd have to get ourselves a new model, or like Ammo suggested, just nerf the amount of inventory space that are on these items.
Yeah, we could do some shoveling.
Yeah, I mean,
that's
if
what it
you,
means,
I
then-
think that would be more than just even the people who PvP a lot. Like someone who wanted to not just like die while they're fishing or something would wear it.
The idea about slots, there's a balance between slots and protection.
Of course.
There's either slots and there's either protection. And there's a sliding scale, and the whole tier 4, like the that has attachable stuff that you need to find. That's also very heavy.
I feel like weight is also something that could be considered, because obviously with a plate, yeah, you can find, well, pouches are pretty rare on Dog.
Yeah.
You can find pouches for them, but a plate with the pouches full of stuff and a pistol in the holster is going to be really bloody heavy, so that's a thing in itself.
I think that my whole point was just there. I think there's a place for a vest that its only job is to make it so you don't get killed, by a Mosin shot at 200 meters. You can put as many negatives on it as you want. Just that would be the only positive. It doesn't need slots. It can be 10 kilograms. It would just be nice to have that option without
there's
having.
already the Russian vests that we have.
Yeah, the ballistic.
For all intents and purposes, they are basically press vests, but they spawn in military places.
Yeah, but they have slots, so they're better. So there could be one that was below that. That was a little easier.
Press
to find.
vest does have. Well, the press vest does have slots, but like
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So you have one that has the same protection as that, but it has no slots, and it could even weigh more, but it's a little more common.
Well, one thing to consider is that in the past year, that the ballistic changes in DayZ combined with the armor changes has made an entirely different thing to what the game previously was. And what the game used to be was that there was basically this graph would be fairly accurate. You'd move the UK assault vest to tier 0, and then you'd have a pretty representative tier, because the tac vest used to have armor, and it would win you gunfights where you and someone else start spraying an auto at each other's chest at the same time. You'd go
Right.
uncon and they
It
would
would
die.
absorb the one,
and that was
basically one shot.
right. And but the thing is, if they were wearing a assault vest with a butt pack, they could have had a lot more storage than you could have, and that was an interesting balance to see all sorts of different variety.
Yeah,
and now we
that
don't
balance would still
we don't
exist.
see that variety right now. It's either you wear max protection or max storage and nothing in between.
Right, which is why I'm saying if there was an option for like, some protection but no storage, I think a lot of people would take that opportunity just because they want to have the chance to like either stay in a fight, go on con and stay in a fight, or not get, sniped from 400 meters while they're farming. So it's still a choice. You would give up slots and you'd have to take on the weight. And it doesn't have to be as common as every PD, but it could be something that you'd have to go to a military to find, but that would be your choice, So the UK assault with no slots, it would be a perfect example. You'd still be making a choice based on how you want to play.
Regardless of the specific numbers of the items that would be changed, are the mod team happy with the fact that at the current state in the game, the majority of people that get in a gunfight die instantly? Like,
And that there's
regardless of what item would solve it, is
And there's
that
10
something they
guns
want to
that will
change?
kill you instantly, and there are plenty of common spawns.
That won't change whatever we do.
That won't change or will change? Sorry, I
That
didn't hear
won't change with whatever we do.
What's the reason for that?
Because you will still die.
But what if you choose to wear that?
Because he's just saying that they won't edit like player health or damage values.
That's basically.
You will still. Somebody could get a headshot on you. Somebody could. Yeah.
Headshots are harder.
Headshot is one thing.
Even in the current game, a leg shot could kill you.
Okay, it can, but the majority of times when you get shot in the leg, the player lives unless they're on low health. But regardless of the specific numbers that are involved, there are several weapons that will one-tap you. I'm fine with bolt actions because they're slow, they're accurate, and if you're close,
the
you're kind of at
one-tap
disadvantage.
weapons.
Yeah, but
Even
an
something like a
SKS
fully
will
automatic
one-tap,
weapon,
a
like a fully automatic weapon like an AUG,
CR7527, the
then
AUG
SKS,
one taps.
which used to be 33 damage like less than a year ago, it now one-taps you. Like, if that's
fine.
something that the mod team is happy with, then this discussion seems kind of moot if we're just going to talk about random numbers and items that probably won't get added. I
think the
personally
thing
would
that
rather get
people
one
are
tap to a headshot than a chest shot from a
Yeah,
guy
I'd like
that
to
got...
see some skill for a one tap.
At least a headshot takes a lot more skill than just shooting a BK-18 and just happening to hit like
Yeah.
the stomach.
And that's something that people have an option to avoid on vanilla, but we don't have it on Doug.
Yeah, well, I think the key thing that people are looking for is like more accessible options to have a chance of surviving such a thing. Like, well, the conceptualized the chart that Desync posted with having some more low to mid tier armor options as opposed to just high tier with the press vest and the plate.
There's essentially only two options right now.
User disconnected from your channel.
I think that we've kind of covered this pretty well. If there's anything Emma would like to say before we move on, then he can go ahead.
Not really.
If not, we can.
Not really. You can always contact me, private message me on Discord. I'm always open to communication. I mean, I think I've answered everybody that wants to be answered.
So would you be opposed to Desync's suggestion? Or would you be maybe, open to it?
Of course, allowing for like reduction in slots, removal of grenade
Yeah,
attachment slots, or
drawbacks.
anything in those vests.
Absolutely.
Yes. Like, we're not just saying like make this 35 slot vest have protection and leave it at that. Like any
saying,
other
make
wiggle
like a-
room needs to be making can be is understandable.
Yeah, Yeah, people will take the drawbacks happily.
I know. I'll take it into consideration.
All right. Thank you. The next topic is from Jonathan. Is Jonathan here? All right, I'll read it. For him then.
I think he said that he was dipping out and he felt that his point had already been covered. That
Oh,
would be
okay.
long buried in the chat, though.
Fair enough. I'll believe you on that one. Then I guess now is the
Try and
very
dig it
end.
up.
Audie, I think had a topic.
Yes. The topic that I had was the Chug Jug.
User joined your channel.
I get that it's a BI issue, and I'm not asking admins or mods to deal with that. But as a community, I was thinking that maybe, when you all like run up on a person, and maybe if some of you are starving, you guys, I don't know, like just try and find food or something. Like, I get that it's kind of the new meta.
User left your channel.
And no matter how much we sit there and, whine about it, like a lot of people. Sorry, I have a dog. No matter how much we whine about it, a lot of people are gonna do it anyway. And like honestly, there's nothing that we can do about that. But I was thinking as our peers and maybe as a community, if we could just, if we want to go into an RP scenario, maybe just not have our stomachs growling. Okay. Do I just shut up now? Because
Wait, hold on,
so
Audie.
many...
Wait, are you asking that we disable the stomach growling noise?
No. What I'm asking is just as a community, can we just actually get food? If you want to go into an RP scenario, just fucking feed yourselves. That's all I'm asking. I mean, do you see what I'm saying? Because like when two major groups walk into each other and half of everyone's starving, that's honestly like a shitty RP experience. Like, am I wrong or?
You're saying that there's
Okay,
people who are like specifically
I'm-
not eating?
Yeah, because like there's and I'm not just saying only my group, but there are some people in my group that do it. But like I mean, like I get it. I understand it's like the meta, but then there's so many fucking people that I've met in literally just one day. An entire group walked up on the dugout and they were all starving. And I'm like, are you serious? Like, guys, come on.
What?
Like, if you're hungry, eat. But if not, don't sit there and try and do like an RP situation with everyone's stomachs growling.
Are you
know what I
saying?
mean?
Are you saying
Like-
they're like intentionally just drinking water so they don't die and continually
Yeah.
starving?
Yeah. Like, so how like as a community, can we just like stop doing that?
I'm surprised you aren't aware of this, Corey. I'm pretty sure there's like dozens of people doing it.
No, I know what it is. I'm just trying to understand what the point was.
The point
Like
is,
there's
there's an
like
exploit
I
in the
just
game
want to
and people
stop
are using
it
it.
is what I'm saying. Like because it interferes with like RP situations. And yeah, I know, I get it. I'm the dugout meme RP. I
That's not at
understand.
all.
But when you have an entire group coming up and you're trying to actually talk to them, and then the other group is literally surrounding you and they're all starving, that's kind of irritating. Like, you know what I mean?
You're
If it
hitting on
helps-
like a bigger problem.
If it helps at all, there was a big problem at first, which was the situation with food, and that's when we made our changes to farming, which because it did hit community camps really hard to an extent, but from what I've been told, people are just powering through it anyway because there's still enough that people can get with farming.
Oh yeah,
it
yeah.
ca-
Farming's fine. Like,
But
well,
it
I
was
mean,
hard.
it's hard, but like we're still, yeah. Like, I mean,
You're still managing.
yeah, we're managing, but then again, you also, I'm part of the dugout where there's like at least 10 or more people on like during the day. So I mean, like farming isn't the issue. What I'm saying is like
User left your channel.
I'm running around and I hit let's just say Krasnostaff, and then a group surrounds me and I don't know who they are, but all of their stomachs are growling. And I'm sitting there trying to like talk to them, and it's not working because obviously, like, it that's what I'm saying. I'm just saying, like,
That's fine.
as
Sorry,
a
can I
community,
interrupt you?
can we stop doing that?
I want to say is that was as part of context of what I was trying to get into, which was basically is that we've seen a couple things back and forth, and that some people were saying that they cannot find any food whatsoever, but they're just constantly dying. That's why they're using just water to stay alive. But now we're being told also there are people that are going out of their way to exploit by staying at literally 0 calories and drinking just water to stay alive. And there are also other people who are saying that they can eat 2 chicken breasts and make it across the map entirely.
Okay,
Now,
yeah,
now,
but
now that they can be on our list, like Ammo had said, it's something that we just need to be able to figure out to see if we can even fix this change. Because there are
Okay.
some people who agree with the change who say, yes, there should be some instance where people can stay alive drinking water. But it should still always be in the back of your mind no matter what, because that's DayZ as a concept as a whole. Food is a priority for people.
yes, yes. See, that was my bigger concern. However, the farming, I shouldn't have a say in the farming, honestly, because I'm part of a group that's actually really big, and we're kind of like basers. Desync, you know what I'm talking about. We're the dugout, for fuck's
Audie, I
sakes.
made the change because I was the main farmer. Or I kept. Sorry, I shouldn't say that. I should say I put the value in my head from what I was doing from my own experience.
Yeah, yeah. But I mean, even right now, like, we're doing fine. Like, as the dugout, as farmers, we're fine. But what I'm saying is, like, when you're not at the dugout, when you're in Northwest Airfield, or when you're in, Cabanito, or just, like, just random places that don't have big farms. I'm saying a group surrounds you and you try to do an RP situation, and every single one of those people are starving. And like, all you hear is their stomach grumbles. And I'm like, as a community, I'm just saying, can we all start fucking eating? And, like, honestly, if you can't eat, maybe just not participate. And, you know, uh, well, I mean, it's kind of rude to sit there and say don't participate in RP situations. That's kind of, I mean, that's kind of mean. But, I mean, I don't know. Like, just, can you guys just start eating, for fuck's sakes? Stop chug jugging all over the map. And, like, as a group, stop chug jugging just to, you know, like, surround people. All right. Anyways, that's it. That's my main point. That was the whole thing that I was going at. But all right, I'm done. I swear.
Go ahead, Pablo.
Hello. This kind of like, just by its subject, it'll touch on like basically every point ever made ever. But in terms of that, the end discussion of like action list or what we can do to actually implement like some way of making solid changes past
User
it.
left your channel.
Like, eh, at least from my observation from the past 3 community meetings, being a relatively new person, that since a lot of discussion is meta and about like behavioral change, a lot of that stuff kind of roots just from like the solid like realities of how the game's gonna play. Like, because obviously like there's the grassroots approach of like in the community meetings we'll be talking about each other, like what kind of behaviors we want to enact, what kind of things we want to do. But then the like the setting it's in is what is affecting it in terms of how we can make an action list about it, kind of segregate what topics it is. Like, for example, like, oh, here's a change we want to do on the staff side, which includes a guideline for rules and exploits. Here's a change we want to do suggesting for the modding team, like, oh, what can the modding team do to affect this topic we discussed. And then like here's a section of here's the community, here's what we want to do. Again, kind of going back to that speculative action list I posted a bit ago, in terms of like how we can develop that. So when we're talking about a certain point, like for example this with Audie, that would hit on both the grassroots part and also kind of like I guess the modding part of it. And as we're talking, kind of like there's the community notes as we're talking, like there's like, okay, here's the rough draft of what we would have, and at the end of that discussion we would be like, is this what we would find reasonable to do as an action, and if not, then tweak that. If that makes
see,
sense.
Yeah, I see where you're coming from. that was actually kind of like my question. Like, as a community, can we actually just start eating like it was supposed to be? You know, can we just skip the whole meta part, if you know what I mean? Like, but as just a community, and this is a solution. This is what I'm saying. Like, as a solution to this problem, could we,
User left your
as a
channel.
community, kind of just stop, the chug jug thing?
Buck, I did hit Q after when Audie was talking.
Okay.
Can I just ask a quick question?
User left your channel.
For the modding team, I just wonder if there's any way, I understand the concept of it that BI put in place was like, okay, if you drink water while you're starving, you will not take damage from starving and therefore you will regain health. Is there any way that it could be modded so that when you're starving and you drink water, you don't regain the health, but the water consumption simply balances out the health damage from starving so that you stop losing health, but you don't gain health? Is that possible?
I haven't looked at it yet, but I'm aware of the issue.
Like if it's just like a number that,
User disconnected from your
for whatever
channel.
reason, when you drink it, it makes the number higher than the number
Usually
that's going
it's
down.
never an issue.
Yeah.
Usually it's never a number. Sorry. Damn it.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
We
I'm just
won't
was
know
thinking
until we
because
fully look into it,
I think the
which
concept
we haven't had a chance to yet.
the concept is good. I think that like if you're starving and you find a well, you can like stop dying for a minute while you're
User
drinking,
disconnected
but
from your
like
channel.
you shouldn't, in my opinion, regain your health during that time. It should just stop it from going down so that you might get to a point where you can get food. And I just didn't know if that was possible to actually make it function that way.
And see, I didn't want to bring up and no offense, I just didn't want to have to bring ammo into another conversation. I didn't want to bring desync into another conversation. Just no,
That's
like
why we're here.
seriously.
Well, it's just the general question
like,
about can we
my
mod
main
it to function differently?
And
Right.
again, that's
right
and
now
what we're trying to get at. Audie, sorry, let me just answer his question. That we are looking into it, and when we can get that answer, we're either going to fix it or we'll let people know that hey, this can't be fixed. And if that comes down to it, more than likely it's going to have to be staff have to step in and set some form of guideline. But that's up to staff to decide,
'Cause it
especially right
clearly
now, because that's what it
would
sounds like it's
be-
coming down to.
Clearly seems like an exploit to just carry a jug of water and like never eat on your character's life.
Right, right. But my solution I was just saying, like, maybe as a community, could we, start eating and stop
User
that?
joined your channel.
I mean, just I don't know, maybe
You
regain
can
your
ask,
health like the
but
normal
you can ask,
way.
but if people have an easier option, they will
Exactly,
take it.
You can only do what you want. You can only play the game how you want to play the game.
User left your
Personally,
channel.
I'm fine with the current mechanics. I don't use the water jug method. I find my food, I hunt my food, and I'll live.
If someone
But,
told
yeah.
you it was a bug, would you be fine with it being in the game?
No.
Okay.
And that's why I'm looking into it, Joe.
Okay, well, that was literally just my main concern. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut people off or anything.
I mean,
I'm done.
It's cheesing the game, and
Yeah, it
if
is.
Diesel were here, he would be well.
I think cheesing is a charitable way to put it, honestly.
Giving a lot more choice words to the whole topic.
I believe Steve's up.
Steve, can I ask you the question? You're saying it's fucking stupid. My question is, are you one of the people who is doing it, or are you not? Okay, fair enough. I'll point a finger to myself. When I came across it, I thought that's really stupid. I did it a couple times, and then I stopped doing it because I found food, and I learned from that. Hey, I got enough food, but if it comes down to it, I'll just die because I know it's done and it's unfair to other people. But I want to stress the point, and I hope. Sorry for interrupting you, Steve. Is that I hope that we can all stress to each other, and I know Audie again. I hope I can expand upon Audie's thing. Is that hey, we've all done it at this point, but I hope we can all come to the consensus of if we should have died in the situation, we should die. We shouldn't be prolonging our lives, even if it's an emergency situation, because that's just never meant to happen until we have something in place. The problem is, Steve, you never have to have food ever again. But why would you? But Steve, do you get the point where I'm saying that people don't have to look for food with this exploit?
Yeah, it's it could be exploited to never need.
Yes,
to
it can.
eat.
It can be exploited.
Yeah. I mean,
It's an optimistic view, Steve. I
that
appreciate.
yeah, that's I mean that's a great view to have, but like I was just like the only thing I was asking, like as a community, as group leaders, because I know most of us here are group leaders. I was just wondering if during RP situations you can at least stop your fucking stomachs from growling.
Can we move
the
on from
entire
this topic?
time.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's been beat to death. But I guess the last topic the people were wondering was like what real change can happen from community meetings, etc. And I guess I'll very briefly describe the conditions in which the community meetings were started. The
User
community meetings
disconnected
were
from your
started
channel.
a year ago in January, at the beginning of the month, when the server was incredibly out of character toxic. People hated each other out of character for dumb reasons, such as being in a faction that you aren't allied with. There's massive out of character alliances. The server in general was in a bad spot, and everybody at the time agreed the server was in a very bad spot. And so, what the community meetings were meant to be was to be a place where people could, in voice chat, talk to each other about issues that they all care about, because in voice chat, there's not room for being passive aggressive the way there is in text. You can't just say, "Oh, you misinterpreted the insult I just served up for you." People are much more genuine and forward in voice chat, I found. And so that issue, I would say, is not at all a problem today compared to what it used to be. I mean, sure, it still exists, but I think that's the main accomplishment of the community meetings. Everything since then has been, I think of it as bonus. The community meetings exist after that with the purpose of being a good 2.5 hours where people talk to each other about issues we all care about and try and get some resolutions. Staff's here usually, sometimes the mod team's here to help out, and that's the way we say get real solutions. The other way that real solutions happen is organically through you hearing something at a meeting and then telling your friends to stop being a dickhead, right? Anything people want to do beyond that, I'm absolutely open to receiving help. There's only so many things I can do. If people want to, like, if Pablo wants to have an action sheet every meeting from now on, that's great. If anybody has any other ideas, I'm more than willing to accept them. And if anybody wants to talk about these things, now's the time. Go ahead, Walter.
All right, since I can't be passive aggressive in text. I'd just like to start by saying I hate Poopy. But seriously, the one
Yo,
action.
can I hit Q here? Hold up.
Well, an action item list on some things would be useful. I'd like to say, for the most part, Buck is right that just having these meetings themselves makes a huge difference because even though there's not like a group consensus on hardly anything, like a total consensus, we do, for the most part, basically agree on a lot of things. And we start putting pressure on the people around us in game to make the changes we want to see as a community. And so just being here and talking about it, and even if we don't all come to a 100%, yeah, we all agree on that, it's still a net positive. That's it. And a community this size, change is going to happen slow, regardless of what you do. You have to play the long game. That's it. And I hate Poopy.